we've got a little bit going on. Hopefully this whole field will be isolated to a crop next year once I'm done cleaning it all out. But here we have a bee box that we've just put in. Not real sure what's going on with it today. I don't want to bother it. I bothered it a lot yesterday. These are all mammoth sunflowers. By the way, as you can see right here and up through here, the deer love them. So what we did, we started planting marigolds. These little babies right here will deter deer. Deer can't stand the smell of them. So I've got 3 of them right here, and I've got a few more over here planted in my little sunflower garden. And I found out where the drainage was coming off of my house, and decided to plant a few seeds out here of some black oil and some mammoth and multi-headed. And as you guys can see, and yes, there are marigolds planted within here and around it. As you guys can see, they are doing wonderful. Some of them I've already cut. And when you see them facing up like that in my garden, it means they're dry. There's only a few out here that you can see that's drying right now. But for the most part, they all came out wonderful. See, like there's one that's drying. And I'll start taking you guys to the back and show you some more. Alright. What you see here is actually going to end up being my wife's radish garden. I had a tree get struck by lightning the other day and fall the opposite direction of what it was leaning over the garden is where it was. And the crazy thing is I had just got done disking this up and then it happened. And I was just wondering how to cut that tree down without it falling in my garden. Tell me the good Lord don't answer prayers. But that's neither here nor there. As you can see, we have marigolds planted around here as well. And yes, we will get in there and get all the rock out. This one is just prepped. We have a few spots that are just prepped. But there are marigolds all around. Look at this, isn't that crazy? It split, it was leaning this way. And it got hit and split and fell going this way, right into the driveway. So, just zip on over here to the other little garden. So over here I got to do a little bit of weeding today. I kind of neglected it, but that'll be fixed today. I have Indian corn growing in this first row. So you can kind of see the rows. And right here you can see them real good. Right now they're only about 4 to 6 inches tall. But eventually, my first row, see more marigold. Eventually, they'll all be colored corn. That's your decorative corn you get a lot. It's real hard. More marigold. As you can see, I do leave the wrapper of what I plant down sometimes. So in this first row, there's not a lot going on, as you can see, and it's actually offset of that because these are multicolored sunflowers. I had never heard of them until this year, and I said, well, let's try some, and they seem to be doing just as well as the mammoths do, which is the next door neighbor. Now this, I actually borrowed a neighbor's tiller in exchange for me doing a little work on it because it wasn't running so well. It works really, really well though. He's using it now. He loves it. really rocky where we're at up here, so you gotta be careful with all the rock and the tiller tines and everything. But on the left-hand side, I have sugar pie pumpkins, sugar baby pumpkins, if you will. And then on this very last row out here, these are going to be giant pumpkins, which I actually already have one in my wife's garden forming. You see, these are sugar pies, and then these are giant pumpkins. The ones that get up to about 200 pounds, 250. Some of them are actually world class. They're down here. You'll see the difference in how big it is. I only had one of those seeds, so I planted it at the corner. You can see this one, he's a little bit bigger. So I'm really pulling for him, and all of them. So, and right across our little gravel driveway to our shed over here, it's where most of our equipment stays for our tractor and everything. We have watermelons. And yes, they are planted really close together. I do that on purpose just to see what will work and how close I can plant them. But there are quite a bit. This Johnson grass, I can't stand it. But yeah, you can see that. And this is actually where a load of manure was dropped off years ago, and my wife used it in her garden, which we'll get to in a little bit. But right here, I have radishes planted all through that. So I have watermelon, sugar pie pumpkins, which are doing really well because of that manure. And all my watermelons are real small. They need a good watering today. They get one once in the morning, and it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon right now. So they're a little dry, but they get 2 coats in the morning. You can see over here where it's still wet. And the last row, of course, is the giant pumpkins. Actually, see, I gotta come out here and do some weed eating and some weeding. But that's the giant pumpkins. And there's about 5 of them in there that are viable and doing well. So, give me a minute and we'll come back to another microgreen garden that we're trying, because like I told you all earlier, ryegrass, sunflowers, and corn, sweet corn, are really good to grow with each other. So give me a minute and we'll be right back with you. Okay guys, so here is our little microgreen garden after we tried it in the chicken tractor. There's about a week of difference in the two. Once we noticed all of them were sprouting really good and got to about 2 to 3 inches tall, we took off on these. Them other gardens were planted exactly on July 4th, mind you. So we're going to keep up with the months as we explore, you know, how to garden. But as you can all see, I'll take you off my chest here. These guys are doing great. I mean, you just can't make that stuff up. That's corn. Got a little bit of corn growing everywhere. That's the higher stalks that you see. And then we have sunflowers, which are, you can tell they're very close to each other. We did that on purpose, and you can see there's a big empty spot right there. I'll get a little bit closer. It's actually a giant root right here. So, it's nice to stand right here and just check it all out. So, my little tractor is grade A saves me a lot of back work. It's just me and my wife and her son who work on this place. And it saves us so much time when it comes to planting crops. It is unbelievable. If you want to see a video on the little tractor, let me know in the comments. But, so we're gonna walk up this little hill that's right here behind me. Kind of cut through. And I'm gonna show y'all our biggest crop that we have, which just so happens to be pumpkins. Once again, they're sugar pumpkins. It's the ones that everybody uses to make pies with. It's probably the ones that your grandmother or your mother went to the store, where I'm from, the Piggly Wiggly, or also where I'm from, probably went to the local farmer to get. So that's what we're trying to do around here. We're gonna have a little roadside stand, and we hope you'll join us on this adventure. So, here we have our little gourd, if you will, our little gourd patch. So we have Jack B. Little pumpkins growing in this row, and it's hard to distinct the rows, especially after the heavy rain that we've had, thank goodness. But there's 2 rows right here of Jack B. Little pumpkins. We've got some old school water gourds. We've got the little albino pumpkins, and then we've got some squash, but it's like the little green, I can't remember the correct term for it, and of course the top is ripped off of this. Ooh, ladies and gentlemen, we have a low flying AC-130. But in this little boxed in area that you see is where it pertains to. So not much going on there yet. Not any of them have started sprouted. I checked on them this morning. Okay guys, so out here we did a little scatter planting. We didn't really take a lot of time for using our seeder, which you will see in one of our videos of us planting on a long row that was just corn and sunflower, strategically planted, more or less for privacy. Our neighbors live up on the hill and they can see down on top of us. So those mammoths should give us like a 12-foot temporary wall. But out here, and I'll show you where it starts at. Out here in these loops that you see around these stumps and trees, we scatter planted black oil sunflowers. So it's really for us to feed our chickens, to help make our super feed. She did a lot of clearing before me and her got together. We have 16 acres, excuse me, and we try to utilize a lot of it. We are in a valley, so it gets rocky in places, and then in other spots it's really good soil, which you'll see here in a minute. Some of the spots in this garden are very sandy and have a lot of clay and a lot of rock, as you can see. But for the most part, I'm actually looking at a lot of sprouts right now just off of them. So you can actually see the sprouts coming up. And we planted these 3 days ago. So they're right on time for their germination rate. Actually, I'm not going to walk on any of that so they can take off and do their thing. I don't see many sprouts in this area. I actually see a pile of sunflower seeds right there. At the end of my finger, there is a pile of them. That's the little black dots. I don't know how well you can all see them. But for the most part, they're doing really well. So my babies are growing big and strong out here. So I've used rocks, and you can kind of see the little trail. This is going to be a wall of sunflowers on the edge. And then up here, here's a little open space where you can walk, and we'll just look back down here. That's left over from the clear cutting done a few years back. And we're actually going to be calling the fire department to do a controlled burn. That way they can actually train out here once we do our harvest. So, you know, but out here, sugar pumpkins everywhere. And then this last one, as you can see, a little sandier right here than it is up here. I was actually doing that on purpose to see what the dirt looks like on the hill, but also a row of sunflowers. So it'll be a wall of sunflowers, a wall of sunflowers, and then it opens up on the hillside to sunflowers. Our fence actually comes back to here. This is the end of the chicken pen for right now. We will eventually expand out in through the garden and back over that way into the fence again, because it's a big L right now, right there. And we're all going to connect that once that's gone and everything gets pushed over. So this spot took me probably, I think 4, 5 hours, 4.5, 5 hours on the tractor. So I run my disc over the top 2 or 3 times, and I have a few bricks on there. I'll do that in a later video probably, and show y'all how I do it. I only drag the top when there's grass full grown. We're talking about knee-high grass, and then I'll take the bucket, level it out, and then just barely skim the top off and take all that grass off the top of it. And then I start really disking it up, which is a really big help. It saves, God almighty, it's probably 12 hours for one single person like myself to come out here and do that all day by themselves, probably for a day or two. But hold on and we'll get to some of that, and we'll talk back in a second. So just to give you guys a little inclusive here, I was walking up to the next garden. Right here is where we collect a lot of our blackberries. As you can see, they're really coming in and doing well this year. Catch you from my platform. As you can see, I came out here this morning and picked some, and I definitely would have grabbed him. So he's been ready. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon right now. Oh, we got a bunch of them that aren't even ready yet. Look at all of that. So this right here that's sticking out, I found out that it is actually not a blackberry vine. This is called devil's claw, and for good reason. As my daddy would have said, it's a thorny careless. It was thorny and you was careless. But so we mine them really well where I'm from. So here we go. So I actually see something I really want to show y'all. Look how beautiful. And I've picked a lot off of this already. So, a very invasive insect, and if you want to know more about it, let me know in the comments. I'll do a video on it. You see this little guy right here? And his little friend, they're very invasive. And top comment will go to person who can guess what kind of insect that is. And if you want to know more about that insect, let us know. But there are more through here. This whole place is full of devil's claw and blackberries. And it goes all the, oh, excuse me, bud. It goes all the way to the back. And I will be clearing that out very soon. So these are pretty. Old St. Johnson, which grows on its own like crazy around here. We're right on the edge, I believe, of being a botanical garden. Little pond that I will be doing a bunch of videos on. It's about an acre, about 3/4 of an acre to an acre when it's full. Right now it's a little low, so it's about 3/4 of an acre. But I caught a 3.5 pound bass out of there, and yes, I have the pictures to prove it. But sorry about that. But I'll give you a little sneak peek of what one side of it looks like. We got a little pier and everything out there, and I try to keep up with it. He gets away from me one time. A lot of this is hard to manage with one guy. So here it is, your sneak peek. And it's not a real good sneak peek either. Let me see if I can. So you can pretty much guess off that. So here's another spot that I tilled up, and there's actually a lot of watermelons out here. I would say I planted roughly 100 seeds of watermelon out here just to see what it would do on this hillside. And it's kind of, the way it kind of cut it like a terrace. So let's see if I can help y'all see that. Yeah, you see how it built up on the edge here and leveled it out going like that. So that's going to hold a lot of water. So I've got a bunch of them planted really beyond this sand. We have another garden down here in the bottom I'll bring y'all to in a minute. But for now, we're just going to walk up in the back. And I'm not going to be very loud going back here because I do have a deer habitat back here that I put a lot of time into. The feed not so much since we do have a lot of super feed that we mix together. We have the raw product here. So, and most of these are going to be corn and sunflower, and the reasoning is shading, sunlight, water in the ground, etc., etc. But our first little corn patch is actually not very far from the watermelon patch. It's right here. And right now I'm just doing single rows because I just got the disc. And we got to do a lot of bush hogging and a lot of clearing. But if we're going to do a little roadside stand, I know that we're going to need product. So right now, these are all really just test spots as well. So, as you can see, I come down here with the tractor all the time. But I actually cleared up, there's a riverbed right there. Oh, another little sneak peek of the pond way over there. You'll see it on the way back. Here's another corn planting station because I have a tree stand and this tree right here, so right down to the hillside, no danger, no threat. Hold on, we'll get to the next one. So behind me is a little garden that is really going to be a deer plot, but what the deer don't eat, we're going to take and process it. This one is about 300 feet long. It's about 100 yards. Took me about 2.5, 3 hours to do. Just this one strip going back and forth, getting the dirt real mixed in real well together. You will see there are sandy parts to this, and then you'll see that there are really rich parts of it, and then you'll see there's rocky parts of it. So you really get to see the difference in the soil. So this is the beginning. My wife's checking on me. And a lot of this is what we had cleared out. But you can see where it starts shifting from sandy to rich topsoil. Neighbor's poochie. Never been down here, as far as I know. See, it gets really rocky right through here, but it's really rich. All this is corn. Scattered corn that we just tilled back up into the ground. see what really takes off. And up here, in that little circle that you all can see, this will be plowed up. Got a little more work to do to it. So right here, once I get all the logs and roots and rocks and everything out of the way, I'll hit this 2 or 3 times with the disc and push all of it out of the way, usually toward my property line. But this, I believe, will get a lot of sunlight during the daytime. You can see the sunlight over here in the example of the rocks I'm talking about up here. We just don't have rocks like that in South Alabama. But yes, there's a giant tree root right there. I think that'll be pretty nice to have a little round sunflower garden up here at the end of the corn. And like I said, we live in a valley. You can kind of see the valley. Very beautiful, very peaceful out here. We have a creek that I'm going to be, I have a hydraulic hose that I have to fix on our backhoe. And then I'll be using that to clear out our little creek that we have through here. It's more like a wet weather spring, but I believe if I dig it back up, because the loggers come out here, and unfortunately, if you've ever had loggers come onto your property, you understand what kind of mess these guys will just leave behind. I mean, look over at the hillside. Maybe I can get a good shot of it from here. See all those trees and everything left over. Which, I mean, it's not their job to pick that up. But it would have been nice if they'd have offered. But yeah. So, like I said, about 100 yards. It goes all the way up there. And that little round spot's right up there. So, good shot, you know. And we have another little access road that goes up there that I'll be planting more of. But for now, we'll be going back to another garden that my wife helped me plant, which houses a lot of carrots, a couple rows of corn, and a few more melons. I really like melons, from squash to zucchini, pumpkins especially. And we'll give you another little tour of the pond real quick. So this is one side of our little pond. My wife actually planted all this grass, and we're going to be removing some of it because it is just a lot that's in there. She also put in the lily pads that are in there, which actually helps for our fish. I know some people absolutely hate lily pads, but you can see where I've pushed a lot of this up. That way the water will continue to drain in here since the loggers came. I try and maintain this road a lot. This is not a public fishing area. If you see this video and you know where I live, do not come up my pond. I'm a very friendly person until I catch you lying, robbing, stealing, any of that. But yeah, very beautiful. I'm not against taking people back here if they were just to ask. I have to do a lot of cleaning up back here. I'm still working on the place a lot. Me and her have only been together about a year. And oh, look at that. But wonderful little spot to fish. If you want to know about some of the habitats and how it actually works and how it was built, let me know in the comments below. We'll actually do a little video on it, and I'll actually take y'all on a real personal little tour of the little pond and how we keep the habitats up and how we raise really big fish in such a small pond. It's only about 8 foot deep out there, excuse me. But for the most part, we catch 1 to 2 pounders all day. You'll catch the occasional 3.5 out here, but it's a really great place, especially to take like my youngins and Rhonda's nieces and so on and such forth. But so we're right here at what used to be my range and kind of still is, and also our little garden. So we also have marigolds planted out here, and they are planted around all the gardens that I just showed you. As you can see, there's our little shooting range. I've kind of been tearing Timmy up a little bit, but if you want to see what kind of everyday carry I have, leave a question in the comments and I'll drop you an answer. So in the first 6 rows that we have here, 3 and then 6, and we have a walkway in the middle, it's all corn that's strategically planted. This is all of our carrots. So I had a melon patch that was in the front yard that our chickens absolutely just loved to eat. So we have a bunch planted out here that we saved. I need a little water out here. It is a little sandier out here than normal. See the marigold. But for the most part, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get back and do the last, but I assure you, not the least, of the gardens, which will be my wife's garden that she started way before me. When we first got together a couple months afterwards, I decided to build her a greenhouse. Well, that greenhouse has helped her garden flourish. She said she's never had a garden like she has this year. She's been here for 10 years. So come with me and we'll go check that out with her, and I'll get to introduce you guys to who she is and what she does. And if you guys want to know a little bit about me, go in the comments, shoot me a message, let me know. I'm an open book. All right, guys, see you later.